Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this morning's Soul Man Surgery, and today we are talking all about energy with John Seery. So please do use the comments, ask John as many questions as you like, and we're just going to have a nice organic chat all about energy. So I am going to bring John himself on. Right. What way will I do it? That way? That way? Yeah, this way. Ready? 1, 2, 3. There you go.
Morning.
You see me pulling you in there?
Yeah.
So, John, obviously, every week we're talking about energy, we're talking about the aura, we're talking about everything that's related to that. And we've decided that this morning we're just going to do a bit of a Q&A session with energy. For anybody who wants to ask you anything, anybody who would like to know any more about energy. And I'm just going to pop that up there. I'll tell you, see, my energy today, John, I've already said to you, but my energy today is flat. It's on the floor.
Yeah.
So even we're experiencing that when we're going through like times where our energy is really, really, really low. Is that all to do with the aura?
Really, all your energy's to do with the aura, but mine, we've got all these layers. So we've got this physical layer, and that's where we feel the whole downturn. When we're feeling low, our physical energy's down, but you'll find that the mental and emotional can still be quite high.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm typing at the same time.
That's no bother.
Yeah, when our physical energy is down there on the floor like that, what's the best ways to deal with it?
Sleep. I think it's really just investing time in yourself, and it's remembering as well that we can pull the other energies in to help us through the day as well. So just taking that 10-15 minutes just on your own.
Yeah. And see, obviously right now, I'm sure that there's many people going through this awful period of their energies on the floor. They're feeling crappy,
yeah,
down. So is that something that you're finding that you're experiencing with a lot of people that you're working with right now?
Definitely. Even myself, I'm having to fight it myself as well. Because obviously we're not as active as we should be or what we normally are, unless people are out working the front line. And but we're not eating normal, we're not living normal, and it is a struggle to get yourself out the door and go for your walks and do the exercise, unless you're well motivated, unlike myself.
Yeah. Well, I'm certainly the opposite of that right now. I'm very highly motivated when it comes to activity, but if I'm not getting sleep, that's definitely something that's really knocking me out.
Yeah.
I suppose right now our like patterns, our habits, I suppose, are all out of sync, aren't they? So
yeah, I mean everything it's affecting everybody in some way, and kids will feel it more, and they go into little meltdowns, don't they, if they're just in the same space for so long.
Well, good news is here the kids go back to school on Monday.
Yeah.
Go back to school on Monday, or all the primary schools anyway, which is great. So I think that's really going to help people's energy and lift them up a wee bit, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to give the parents that bit of respite as well.
Yeah.
So they're not homeschooling anymore and they're not getting stressed out.
And I also wanted to ask you as well, and obviously I know that you're not a medical person, so you wouldn't be able to say, but you'd be able to tell on the energy side of things. See, when people are getting this vaccine and when people are being vaccinated to go back into society and all the rest of it,
Yeah.
would that potentially affect your energy as well, having the vaccine?
You know, I actually went 2 weeks ago for my first vaccination,
Mhm.
and I was just sorry I didn't do a before and after, because I did feel the difference in my own energy.
As in, like, was it worse or was it better?
Um, for a period of time, it felt a wee bit worse, if I'm
Mhm.
honest. And you just feel a wee bit out of sorts. You know, the kind of heady way you get
Mhm.
if you're not quite in balance. So I felt it affected that way. I didn't have any bad side effects of that, but I just felt a wee bit out of sorts for a couple of days afterwards.
Yeah. And when everybody does go back into society, we're talking like the 17th, 18th of April, I think we can all start to open non-essential shops, get back to
Yeah.
some kind of normality. Um, what's your thoughts on, like, I know that everybody's energy is going to be really down there.
Yeah.
We're all going to be feeling a bit oof. What's your thoughts on what you do for people? Measuring the aura, showing people, because we're in a really good position here where, like, this is like we can start again. We can write a new path. It's almost,
Absolutely. Yeah.
for me, it kind of brings in the Noah's Ark scenario. Like
Yeah.
we've all been bobbing along in that ark for so long, and now that dry land's there, it's like a fresh start.
It is, and I think people are. You see some of the memes on Facebook about getting that freedom and everybody running free, and it will be a wee bit like that, I think,
Mhm.
because all of a sudden there'll be this amazing burst of energy from folk,
And that
and you've got
would affect the energy of the planet as well, won't it?
definitely. I think that's the one good thing about this past year. It's given the planet a wee bit time to heal, if you want.
Hmm. Absolutely. We've actually had quite a lot of discussions about that. That this is a healing process that everybody's going through, the planet's going through, the human race is going through,
Absolutely.
and obviously there's the huge tragedy of it as well, where many people have lost their lives to this horrible pandemic. But um, if we're moving forward and we're looking at like the next 6 months or so, could people be having an appointment with you, seeing where their energy centers are maybe needing a bit of work?
Yeah, I believe it'll be a time for the likes of the healers
Hmm.
to help people. Yeah, I feel, well, it's my own opinion. It's not a fortune telling or anything, but I feel that it's going to be a bit of where people are. They will look for healers. They will want to get themselves back in balance. It's the same when gyms open. People are just going to head for the gyms.
Hmm.
They're just going to try and shake off the excess energy that they've built up over the past year. And I
So,
feel that
sorry.
can happen as well, sorry.
Yeah.
Just like you're saying, where you're working on yourself. I know you're investing in what you're eating as well. So you've got all this energy building up.
Hmm.
And then it's like kids when you give them chocolate, they've got all this excess energy. And then you try to get them down to sleep. So you can imagine what it's like for adults as well, because it still affects us.
Yeah. So if I was, say, for instance, when we can get back in the shop and when we can open, if I was to say to you, John, I would like to sit down and just look at where my energy centers are at right now.
Yeah.
And then I think this is quite a fascinating time for you, actually, because, we've never had anything like this. You have got equipment that measures people's energy.
Yeah.
So you're able to look at how people are and where they're maybe imbalanced in certain places, how they can then start to work on those, and then come back and see you again and see how everything's improved.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I love about it myself. I don't do it as much, but I used to do that a lot for myself, just to see where I was and if I need to change anything in my life, whether now it's routine.
Yeah. I'm thinking very creatively here, right? I'm thinking that you and I could create a new service that goes on to your services that you provide at the shop, and that
Yeah,
being spiritual MOT, and then a service 6 months later.
that is actually, yeah, that can be done.
That would be a great idea.
Yeah,
So let's call it a post-COVID MOT.
yeah.
John, I'm putting you on the spot here and asking you live, because if you commit to it live, then you've committed to it, so it's totally fine. I do think that it would be a really, really good thing for people to do. Obviously, I'm not trying to sell anything, but I think that for people who are really invested in their well-being, it's a really wonderful thing to be able to see.
Yeah,
And when you read that report that you do, it's just mind-blowing how accurate it is, isn't it?
it is, yeah. And
And
again, there's a lot of, sorry, I keep interrupting you.
no, it's just a wee delay, but I'm saying it's a very comprehensive report about your energy, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It goes into, but usually if I'm working in a group, I normally just show 6 of the charts and graphs, but there's another 4 or 5 in there that tell me a wee bit more about the person as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll show me just more of the imbalance. And obviously, where I'm working with someone, I'm pretty much attuning to them as well, just to
Yeah.
see a wee bit more in depth about that imbalance.
I think that's the beauty of what you do as well, is that you are able to tune in as well. It's not
Yeah,
a machine. You're able to sense and pick up maybe those wee imbalances and then look at that a little bit further.
yeah. It's one of the things I found constantly using the system, that it's kicked in that side of my intuition as well.
Yeah.
So it's got to the stage. It's like yourself when you spoke about shaking hands with somebody, and sometimes people just talk to me and they'll tell me everything's great, and I'm thinking, no, it's not.
Yeah. I know that's definitely a huge big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm okay. And
Mhm.
we actually spoke about this the other day, and I was speaking to Gina. Gina, and Gina was saying that people are, saying, it's okay, just think positive thoughts and do things that make you feel happy and all of that kind of stuff. But actually, it's okay to be a bit pissed off.
Of course it is.
It's okay to feel frustrated and annoyed and all of these things. So I think that's important as well, John. We're not just these spiritual machines or beings that float around the streets.
Absolutely. You've got to accept that there are days where nothing is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you're not wanting to sit and think positive thoughts because you end up getting peed off at yourself.
Absolutely. And do you think that when people are going through all these things, do you think that people give themselves a really hard time on the I suppose they give themselves a hard time because they see other people doing really well through the pandemic and managing their mental health really well, managing their energy really well. So they then in turn give themselves a hard time because they don't feel that they're maybe up there with that other person.
Yeah. See, I always joke about people having their spiritual baseball bats.
Yeah.
And I know mine's got 6-inch nails in it, so I get right to my own self doubts and insecurities.
Yeah.
And we do that. And what we don't realise is, although this person is doing this, they're getting themselves up there, you really don't know what's going on underneath.
Absolutely.
And the struggle that they're having to keep themselves up that high.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of catch-22.
Yeah. For me, the last 2 weeks, I've really, really struggled to keep myself up there. I just feel like it's Groundhog Day every day.
Exactly. But people seeing you come on here, see Stephen, it's just this amazing ball of energy.
Yeah. Less
But
of the
they
ball,
don't.
more of the pair, less of the ball. You can call me a pear, not a ball. Amazing pair of energy or banana.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I can come across being really like upbeat and happy, and I am. But there is that other side of me where I'm like, oh my god, this is doing my friggin' head in. I love doing the soul man surgeries. I love doing all the work that I do. But then when I actually stop and when I've got a bit of free time, I'm like,
Exactly.
Are we ever really truly happy? Because I don't have this with work, but lots of people have this where they go into their jobs, their day jobs, and they're just like, I hate my job. I hate this.
Yeah.
And they're not doing their job, and when they're stuck at home, I want to be back at work. So I suppose we need to be very mindful of that, don't we? That the energy that you're in the present moment, it's not all that bad. It's your perception of it.
Exactly. You know yourself within this work that we do, there's people have got terrible lives. And it kind of puts things into perspective.
Absolutely.
And my 2 sons are the same. They're furloughed now. They're talking about getting back to work, and I don't want to go back to work. And it's just reminding them that work is paying for your rent, it's paying for your holidays every year.
Mm-hmm.
So just change the mindset.
Yeah, it is tough though, isn't it? And I'm sure that every single person watching this, even though they're not very chatty this morning, come on guys, have a chat. At least you're there. Say hello on the screen. Send us some love. Say hello. I think everybody can relate to that. We are getting to the point now where we're like 3 months into a new year. A quarter of the year is gone already.
Exactly.
And, we've been stuck at home for all that time.
Yeah, and I'm sure you were the same yourself when Nicola Sturgeon came out and said that we weren't going to be open until April. I was looking forward to getting back to my caravan this month, but I just went on a right. My energy just instantly dropped.
Yeah.
But let's just try to pick yourself back up again.
And when we're talking about energy, because that's what we're talking about, it can be really, really hard to build that up again.
It is
hard to build that up again. And I think it reminds me of my lovely mum and my sister when they went through cancer. So they went through this horrible ordeal of cancer, and my mum and my sister, they had 2 very different mindsets. So my mum she was very like, oh, I feel absolutely awful. But my sister was like, haha, you're not getting me, you bast. Like there was two very, very different energies there. My sister was this burning ball of energy who had had surgery to remove her breast. She was going through chemotherapy, radiotherapy. You know, she'd had all of that horrible stuff going on, but she had this very bright, vibrant energy about it. Whereas my mum, more like, I'm really feeling this, and it's, oh my god, you know. So I suppose it's the recovery after that, you know, and I think that's what everybody's going to start to experience is that, you know, obviously you can't compare COVID to cancer, but
absolutely,
you can compare it to that whole, like, we've had our energy completely zapped and drained.
Yeah.
It's how we approach the next 6 months that really matters, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, we've all been contained the last year practically.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, the doors are going to burst open.
Do you know what, John? I'm craving a cuddle. Like,
it's killing all the huggers. The amount of times I've heard that from people, they want that human interaction. It's just a cuddle they want.
Honestly, I can feel my emotions building there. But like, I am someone who, you know, I don't hug everybody, but I hug the people that mean the most to me.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously, I've been able to hug my wife and my kids, but I haven't been able to hug my mum, which is a really big, hard thing for me. Like, I'm like, standing at the edge of the path, and I know on Sunday it's going to be Happy Mother's Day. There's again. And we've chosen to be like that. We've chosen not to like have any kind of contact with my mum because we don't want to make her unwell, you know.
Yeah.
But I do genuinely just want a hug. Susie's saying, was that cuddle directed at John or just in general? Susie, I've known John for many, many years, and John is not a hugger. You put your arms around John and hugged him, and we go.
Cringe.
He may let other people hug him, but I think if I hug John, he would be like, what are you doing? I'm sure you would, John, wouldn't you?
Aye. I remember the first time I was working in As at the time, and it was a medium I knew, and he came up and gave me this hug, and I'm thinking, what are you doing? I'm at my work.
Sorry. Aye, I'm very mindful of who I hug, but I think the people that I want to hug and that I'm normally around, like people at work, and you know, it's really tough.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, when we talk about hugging as well, hugging, that moves us into all the layers of our aura, doesn't it?
Of course it does, and you feel it within your own being.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know that the work that we're in, it's just full of people that want to hug you.
Yeah,
and I had to learn to kind of give into that a wee bit because it's just what people do.
We've got Jackie watching as well. So Jackie, you'll know Jackie McKay, John, but
yeah, we're connected on Facebook. Yeah,
my beloved Jackie from Albany Street. And Jackie, I don't know if you remember, but many, many, many years ago, you're talking like 20 years ago now, there used to be I'm sure it was, I don't know if it was a tea towel or if it was a poster in the kitchen in Albany Street, and it was a hug delights and warms and charms. It must be why God gave us arms. Kittens love them, puppies love them, kittens crave them, head of states are not above them, something like that. But you know, and it's true, I always remember that. It's like this, you know, when we hug, it it blasts through our energy, and you feel really like. I'm interested to see who's watching. Are you huggers, or are you like, no, leave me alone, like John? And I'm also interested to see what you guys feel about having a hug and what that hug does to you. And now nobody's going to comment.
Exactly. Nobody owns up to it.
Yeah, so Claire's saying there that yeah, so we need to get used to being around other energies after isolation.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
That's really interesting, though. You know, how we have to get used to other energies because we've been so used to doing stuff online.
Yeah.
I believe that when we start to go back into normal society, I do believe that people are going to feel a little bit irked by people. They're maybe going to feel a little bit annoyed, a little bit fed up, a bit pissed off with folk. Or the complete opposite of that.
Yeah. I feel that it's going to get used to being in people's energy again. You're going to have that initial reaction now. You always get that bit of static.
Mm-hmm.
And it's learning to deal with that all over again. And
you know,
I feel that's where the irk comes in.
Yeah. You know, these people that say they're not huggers, these people that say they're not huggers, you are huggers.
Absolutely.
You've just not hugged the right folk. And see that awkwardness as well when someone hugs you as well. That awkwardness, I believe that awkwardness that you're feeling, that's a reflection on something that's within you, that you're not able to connect the emotion of someone wanting to give you that hug. So, yeah.
You're absolutely right. Because I love nothing more than giving my wee granddaughters hugs. I could hug them all day.
Yeah.
And it's just a different outpouring.
I think what and I've spoke to Claire about that actually, and that is that we're thinking about hiring one of these mascot suits and standing outside the shop and giving free hugs.
Aye.
When we can and when it's safe, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like standing out there in that big mascot suit and just giving folk hugs. And I think that will really, really be well received as well.
Yeah, I believe it would as well, yeah, because there's a lot of folk have missed that contact.
Mm-hmm.
And now you see with some of the old folks' homes where they've been allowed in to give hugs and things, and you see the difference it makes to these people as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm just looking at the comments there. Louise is saying that I was not really a hugger. Brought up being hugged. Probably how I was brought up. But I ensured I hugged my dad when he was palliative and had to initiate it. I am so glad I did. I would have been full of regret otherwise. My mum told me I was a stiff child. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just sometimes it's just the way people are brought up, not in a bad way, but the older generation from me, and they just weren't huggers. They just didn't show a lot of emotion. They didn't show a lot of feelings. And if you look at the generation now, it's just they love everybody.
I honestly, I think my kids hate me. Like, so Dylan, our oldest, he's 21, and he's an apprentice bricklayer, right? So like he's a like proper bloke.
No.
All right, mum and dad, how you doing? And you know, and we never brought him up like that. We brought him up to be like just be who you are and be who you want to be. But every single morning before he goes to work, I'm like, give me a hug. He's like, sweet, Dad. But that's really important. And growing up for me, I know we've went down the leafy lane of hugs, right? But growing up for me, and I was speaking about this morning to Susan, actually, Susan Watson. See, my dad never showed me any love, any compassion. He never put his arms around me and hugged me. And see, when he does it now, last time I seen my dad was 7 years ago because he lives in Australia. But see, when he does it now and he gives me a hug and he's like, "I love you, son," I'm like, ugh. First thing that I do with my little ones when they wake up in the morning, I'm like, "Oh, come here, I just love you to bits," and I'll kiss them and I'll cuddle them. And the older ones tell me to piss off, but the little ones, we're a very cuddly, loving, huggy family.
Yeah.
But interestingly, my wife comes from a family that are not like that at all. They do not hug. She's got 9 brothers and sisters, huge big family, but none of them hug each other. See, if they were to see me hugging somebody else, they'd be like, "Oh, that's a bit weird." Oh, strange. I just didn't. But like you say, John, I think it is purely and simply because of that older generation.
Yeah. I know that probably the last 10 years I find myself I didn't have to, I found myself starting to soften to other things. It's just what this work does to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know that even with my own 2 sons, I got to the stage I felt I'm turning into my dad here. Yeah. So for that reason, I started changing a wee bit. And certainly getting into the first lockdown, my youngest son, me and him went lots of walks and we built quite a relationship. So they banter off each other now who's my favourite.
There's this big stigma around it though, especially with guys, I think. I've spoke to many guys, I've got a lot of male friends and male friends that have been my friends my whole life, and I'll be like, "Oh, how you doing, man?" And I'll give them a hug and they're like they'll say things like, "Oh, get off me," like, "I'm not that way inclined," and all the rest of it, and I'm like, why does it have to be that people question your sexuality because you're someone who's
absolutely
very cuddly and huggy and all of that kind of thing? For me, I'm someone who's very, very comfortable in my own skin. I am very, very happy to give men, women, kids, animals, whatever, hugs.
Yeah.
And maybe people mistake that for something else as well. So I suppose that could be problematic as well. Because I've had many instances in the past where like hug someone too much and they're like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
So you have to be careful in how you deliver them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame that things like that does restrict that exchange of energy, though.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, that's really looking at it as what a hug is an exchange of energy as well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's funny though, because so many people, what they do is they judge without even, and we were having, Susan and I again were having this big conversation about this the other day, where even if you say you don't judge, I bet you judge. Guaranteed.
Absolutely.
So it's very simple things like, we were speaking about it, like if a child was to you know, like, so my little boy, for instance, right? If my little boy came home from school and he's like, I've got a girlfriend, right? I'd be like, oh, do you? What's her name? But if my wee boy came home and said, I've got a boyfriend, I would be, now, not judging, but I would be, do you think that's right, Nikki? That he's got a boyfriend? And what makes it wrong? Because, you know, I don't believe that, you know, they're that everybody's born straight or everybody's born gay or whatever, you know. If my little boy wants to have a boyfriend, that's okay.
Yeah.
And he should be able to hold hands with that wee boy and he should be able to do all these things. So it's really, really fascinating how society judge, you know.
It is. Even myself growing up, my parents always thought I was gay because I had more female friends. I was always more comfortable in female company than male company.
Yeah. And then you've got that whole sensitivity thing where you're a medium and you're working with energy.
Yeah. And it's when you've got that energy and balance, you do feel the two sides. You do feel the male and the feminine side.
Yeah.
And we really need it for this work anyway. Not
And
just for this work, just for life.
That's what's really interesting though, because see, every time that I have my energy, what do you call it, recorded, my male and female, and you know that right throughout the years, you've always been like, Stephen, you're totally in touch with your feminine side because the male and female are right next to each other.
Yeah.
So the two arrows align. Whereas if you're working with someone, is that right? That they align, yeah?
Yeah. They're knitted together. You're totally, the balance is there.
Yeah. But then if you get someone that's like overly masculine, it's away the other way, and then overly feminine, it's away the other way.
Yeah.
I love that my energy can be measured like that. I think it's brilliant. But yeah, people do judge.
Of course they do.
You know. For instance, I had a very, very lovely lady who has her hair cut short, does all of this kind of stuff, and everybody thinks that she's gay. And it's crazy. And she's not. Give me 1 second. That's the post at the door. Sorry, Nikki's on placement and I'm on my own with the children, so
all right.
They're upstairs, so I had to answer the door. Posty, I'm like, come back at 10:30. Yeah, you know, so this lovely lady, she has her hair cut short, she wears Dr. Martin boots. She is given that stereotype of being gay and she absolutely hates it.
Yeah.
She's like, everybody thinks that I'm a lesbian and I'm not.
Yeah. She's just like yourself, she's just comfy in her own skin.
Yeah. So why is it that do you think that comes from people's energy and what they're putting out there, that people perceive you to be a certain way because your energy is that of you're all encompassing and lovely and kind?
It's you don't see so many of them now, but used to see wee gangs of moshers, and they were always dressed in black, and would always have the makeup and the hair hanging, and just people wouldn't go near them because they would just feel that energy coming from them. Whereas if they'd have taken the time to speak to them, you'd probably find out they're probably the nicest bunch of kids you would meet.
Absolutely. I know people that come into the shop and, you know, their appearance, people would look at them and they would be like, whoa. But then when you actually speak to the person, they are the nicest, kindest, most loving people in the world.
Absolutely.
I always say this, that often the person with the Jimmy Choo handbag, is it Jimmy Choo handbag? Do you get a Jimmy Choo handbag? I don't know. You know, the person with the designer handbag and the hair all done and the nails
Yeah.
done, all of that. Like, these can sometimes be some of the worst people. You know, some of,
Yeah.
I say the worst people, but some of the people that are hurting the most, that need
Yeah.
more. You know, so they're not necessarily damaged or anything like that, but they're just hurting and they need more. They need help with that.
Yeah. It's like painting over the cracks a wee bit, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's fascinating how, you know, when you actually pay attention to someone's energy, it changes everything. So I truly believe that as human beings, we should all be blindfolded and we should experience the world without sight
Totally. Yeah.
and experience each other without sight. And see, when you can take away the sight, you can feel the person's energy. It changes everything.
As we did an exercise one time with somebody blindfolded facing the wall, and we would have like male and female in the group. And to surprise you, the amount of times that we would ask the person to feel the energy of the person behind them,
Mm-hmm.
and the amount of times they get the female energy in the male.
Mm-hmm.
And it used to happen myself all the time. I used to think I was a female standing behind them.
It's funny though, isn't it? It really
Yeah.
is. It's amazing. I'm just going to go to the comments because people have been commenting. I've not seen their comments. So Kelly saying there, I miss my hugs from my dad during all this. I've had one hug and was bubbling like a baby. Usually he hugs me when I see him and when he leaves. Oh. Andrew, hello Andrew. Andrew's saying there, missing a hug from Claire. You're meant to say you're missing a hug from me too, Andrew. I always like, hi Andrew. I hug the people I need to. Their mental well-being is more important. You know what, Susie? That is really, really, that's important. You know,
Yeah.
if you feel that somebody needs that, then that's like delivering medicine, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Claire saying missing our cuddles too, Andrew Byers. Susie saying don't have your big deck in your pocket when you hug people, Stephen. I wish I clicked on that comment now. So what see to expand on that, right? We were speaking about tarot decks. Susie's been doing the tarot courses. She's been training for the last 6 months on the tarot courses with us. And we were speaking about like the size of tarot. So I've got a very small deck, right? Which are these. And then I've got a very big deck, which is that size. We were talking about it, saying how I've got a really big deck in the shop. The team have had a shot in my big deck. So yeah, you can see where Susie's coming from with that one. So thanks for that. That's really kind of you. Susie's saying as well, we saw Stephen's feminine energy when his energy was analysed. Yep, you did indeed. Susan, Kelly, Easton, miss hugs so much. I'm a total hugger. Absolutely. Kelly is saying again, COVID has totally hit the huggers badly. So true, John, isn't it?
Yeah, it's, yeah.
Louise is saying that my daughter is blind and I've had to do a lot of blindfold training to learn her world. And wow, so true about the energy you pick up on without sight. Louise, that honestly is gold.
Absolutely.
See,
it's amazing. Sorry.
No. If we just actually paid attention to energy rather than what a different world we would live in.
Yeah. And it's just amazing how the other senses become so strong.
Yeah. And when we're experiencing the world, when we're seeing things, we all see things differently as well, don't we? We all
Oh,
experience
definitely.
the world differently. So um, the way that I train our trainee mediums in person is with blindfolds.
Yeah.
So all of their work is blindfolded, or most of their work is blindfolded when they're in person, because then they're not seeing facial reactions, they're not seeing anything. All they're doing is relying on the energy that they're feeling.
Yeah. And it's amazing just how much they pick up from that as well.
Yeah. Because, I remember way back, I remember sitting, doing hundreds of sittings behind screens,
Yeah.
blind reading, and that's how it should be done.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
I've a lot of that as well.
Yeah. I've done the blindfold many times, and just I know how strong that can be. So I can imagine how it'd be behind a screen as well.
Yeah. But
And
what Louise is saying there, I love the fact that Louise has done that as well. I love the fact that Louise is going in, blindfolding herself so she can perceive the world that her daughter perceives. I think that's amazing, don't you?
that's absolutely fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's a wonderful thing for any parent to do, to experience the world that their child lives. And it's interesting because I've done exactly the same thing with Noah. So, our wee boy Noah, he is autistic, and he I've tried to like pull myself into his world and see how he views the world. And he has to get medicine for going to school. And this medicine, it calms him down. So I took the medicine, because I wanted to experience what it would feel like. Honestly, John, I was like, right, what needs done? I was like super hyper focused. And what's really funny about it is when we're speaking to the doctor says, well, if you don't have autism or ADHD, it's going to make you really, really super focused and like almost high. But if you have it, it's going to slow you down and make you much more relaxed and much more able to sense and see and feel things. So it's funny though, isn't it?
Yeah. I couldn't imagine you any worse than what you are.
Oh, like I'm genuinely thinking about taking his tablets to be more productive. Because see, that day I got so much work done, I was like, hey. Here, Moira's saying there, having worked in palliative care, I have 9 times out of 10 been able to know when people want to be hugged. That is their families as well who feel awkward about a stranger coming into the house. Sometimes it's just a hand held or smile. Yeah, absolutely. That makes complete and total sense. And I think that really is, it doesn't just have to be a hug. It could just be that gesture, like Louise is saying there, just a gentle tap on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Or, like just holding someone's hand. Obviously, you want to make sure that, it's safe to do so. Of course you do.
Exactly, yeah.
I think, people are craving energy. People need that contact with people, don't they?
Yeah, it's just that small energy exchange could make such a difference.
Yeah. Susie, Dean, Hyacinth, Dean. Oh, Dean's here. Hello, Dean. So there you go. So Susie, I forget that Susie knows Dean as well. So Susie and Dean are going to make a wee bit of time to hug each other. I've known Dean since he was a baby. That's actually really scary. Dean's like 21 now, and has his own life. It's crazy. and I've not aged one day since Dean was born. It's great. Because he is the same age as my laddie. So, Kelly, Stephen flying out his head, absolutely. Productive. Honestly, like, just for the record, I would not take medication to make myself more productive, because that isn't good for you.
No.
Relying on prescription medication, to make you more productive. So we have went down a bit of a leafy lane with that, John, haven't we? You know, the whole energy thing. But I think the whole hug thing. But I think, you know, hugs are energy. They make people feel good. They help to lift your energy. They do so many things, don't they?
It does. When somebody's genuinely giving you a hug, you feel it. If somebody's just hugging for the sake of hugging, you feel that too. And you think, well, why bother?
It sparks the question in my mind as well, how long is too long to hug someone?
Exactly.
Do you ever have like, I always do that though. See, when someone's hugging me for too long, I'm like, right, you can stop now.
Yeah.
You're squashing me. And it's funny, Jackie Sanderson's just jumped on, and Jackie does that to me all the time. Every time she sees me, she gives me a big hug. And I'm like, Jackie, you need to put me down now. And it's purely and simply because of her boobies. She's got these huge big boobies, and they just hate me. And I'm not complaining about huge big boobies suffocating me, but there you go, Jackie. Jackie loves to give hugs. Just like snugs you in her bosom. Anyway. And on that note, she's going to give me a hard time for saying that now, guaranteed. Oh, well, she's saying never. That's interesting. Jackie would normally be saying something totally different. Dean, everybody's brilliant here. Thank you, pal. It's nice to see you as well. I hope you're doing well. I've not seen you for ages. I've seen your dad a couple of weeks ago, but I've not seen you for ages. So to finish us off, John, we're going to throw it out there. We've got 14 people watching. Do you have any questions for John? Because it is a live Q&A session. Hugs and energy, which I suppose is what we're meant to be talking about anyway. But do you have any questions for John? And while I just fill that wee bit of space, while you guys are asking questions there, what we're going to be doing in a couple of weeks' time is we're going to be doing Operation Rebuild. So we're going to, all of the people who have been attending our surgeries, John and Susan and all of that, they're not going to be with us for that week in a couple of weeks' time. But what we are going to do is we're going to invite local businesses who have been closed throughout the last few months, and we're going to invite them to come on to the Soul Man surgeries, and we are going to have a Rebuild Your Business week, where all these people are going to come on and they're going to share what they do, they're going to share what their business is, and we're just going to get...
Interesting question.
Oh, sorry, that's my watch talking to me. We're just going to try to help as many businesses to rebuild after this rubbish.
Oh, brilliant. People need a lot of support.
Yeah. Louise is saying, when are you going to come teach us, John, and give us a course with you? It's coming.
Yeah.
We do actually have a course that we wrote last year that we delivered, John, didn't we?
That's right, yeah. We did it over a couple of evenings.
Yeah, so we can do that again. We can run the Aura Energy course again if it's something that's interested with or interesting for you guys. Louise is saying, it's funny, last lockdown I done my Braille SQA because she was starting school and I wanted to support her in learning, and she's better at it than me. So definitely interesting being able to experience some of her world in the way that she does. That's awesome. That's amazing.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And when we can be in person as well, John, you know, there's lots of different workshops that we can put on with John as well, for anybody who is interested in that. So there's many things that we can do, because John's work, it kind of falls into every category of work.
Yeah. Bring mediumship and healing into it all as well.
Yeah. There's so many questions now. Oh no, yes, she's done that. Loved it. Brilliant. So we could run something similar again. That would just need to be John and I putting our heads together and doing something with that.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think we're done, John. Nobody's asking any more questions. So hello, Lorna. Nice to see you, Lorna Doyle. Lovely to see you, actually, Lorna. No, nobody's asking any more, John. So I think that what we'll do is we will call it a day there.
Yeah.
We're 57 minutes in, and I am absolutely bursting on the loo. I don't know if you've noticed me jumping about here.
Yeah. I'm sitting twirling my chair here as well.
It's rubbish. Always go to the toilet before the surgeries. So Kelly's saying there, John, one time I had spiritual healing, it felt like the healer was pulling ribbon from inside my skin. Care to explain? I'll answer that. 2 seconds. Hello, I'm back. I'm so sorry. I had to go to the toilet. I'm so sorry, guys. But if I did not go there, there was going to be a puddle of pee at my feet. So there you go. I hope you never heard it. Did you hear it? No, that's fine. Thank God for that, because it's very sensitive. So yeah, one time Kelly had spiritual healing. Did you answer that, John? No.
I didn't know. I thought you were going to answer when you come back.
So what would you say that was then?
Again, spiritual healing, it's like Reiki. It's very much energy based as well. And it's my belief that the spirit world, they work with our energy centers, and in turn will work through the meridian lines as well. So you'll feel the energy running through the meridian lines. So it will feel like we bursts of energy and just a pulling on that certain area.
And it does, like Kelly saying, it feels like ribbon, but it really does feel like ribbon. You can really feel it unfolding within your energy, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing when you're able to relax that much and feel that energy working throughout your whole body.
Yeah.
Because some people are not so fortunate where, you know yourself, some people don't feel the healing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say it didn't happen, but they're just not aware of anything. But being in that altered state where you just feel every part of the healing working.
Mhm.
It's quite priceless.
It's funny because see, when we're talking about energy as well, and how people, they might not have energy. I was speaking to the really inspirational Kenny Walker, who was doing surgeries for a wee while with us. Kenny, in fact, I wasn't speaking to Kenny. I was reading one of Kenny's posts, and his post was, "The more you do, the more energy you have." So energy creates energy.
Yeah.
And that's really, really, really factual stuff, because what I have noticed, certainly through the lockdown, certainly over the last 6, 8 weeks or so, I have noticed that the more I'm doing, the more I want to do. The more I walk, the more I want to walk. And I'm feeling this real momentum starting to build up inside the body, inside my mind, my soul, my energy, where I want to exercise.
Yeah.
I never thought I would ever say that. What's your thought of that?
I totally agree with that. It's something I'm now consciously starting to do, is just get out a walk, just for the sake of getting out the house as well. And it does build that up. The more you invest in yourself, the better your energy becomes, which again, it affects the mind, it affects the mental health, it affects everything. So it's just this build up of energy.
And that's
And just
really building all the time.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, and just like you said, I went out a walk one time and I just went for it. I had no plans of going anywhere, just a walk, and it ended up about 6 miles away. Then I came round, I thought, I've not got the car, how do I get back home now?
Yeah.
And the difference between being conscious of that walk back, it's two different walks, if you can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
So walking there, I was just in my energy, I was just going with it, I felt great. But on the way back, I thought, I've got all this way to travel back now, so I felt it a bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
So it's keeping that mindset going as well, and keeping the energy.
Music's a good thing. That's really good to have in your ears when you're walking. So what I
Definitely.
do is I take the dog down to the school with the kids, and the school's a mile away, so I have to walk a mile there and a mile back. And it takes about 10 minutes to walk that mile, which is actually quite good going.
Yeah.
So when I'm taking the wee man to school in the morning, instead of taking the car, which was always my thing, I just leave 10 minutes early and we walk. And then I walk back. And see, by the time I get back in the house, I'm like, wow.
Buzzing, yeah.
See, if I get back, I'd still be sluggish. Whereas the fresh air beating off me, the dog pulling me, the music, me, I'm using the energy of everything around me to motivate me and push me forward. So I just love it. So that's what's changed for me, is that I now walk my children to school, which is something that I've never done before, by the way. It's interesting.
Yeah. It's amazing just how small tweaks can play a big part. And I know that the past few weeks I've went out to change my whole routine.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of sitting in the laptop all day or mess about all day, I make sure I try and get out for at least half an hour.
Yeah. So much so though, John, right? I'm actually thinking about buying a bike, giving Nikki the car, and I'm thinking about cycling to work and back every day.
Yeah.
Which would take me, I think, about half an hour to cycle there and back every day. So we'll see. It's a thought, by the way. It's a thought.
It's a thought. So you'll need to get a wee sidecar for April then when you're driving her to work.
She's got a bike. She can cycle as well.
Aye.
There you go. Driving the winter months and cycling the summer months.
Yeah.
So we're over time now, John. So I do apologise. That was me away from my pee, so it kind of made us go over. But thank you so much for coming on today, John.
No.
Thank you so much to everybody for your comments and for your interaction today. Tomorrow, our special guest is going to be Nicola Henderson. Now, Nicola was on a few weeks back. She is a life coach, very inspiring lady who's changed her life quite dramatically, actually. You know, Nicola, she, a few years back, she just felt like something had to change. So she booked herself a holiday on her own, and she was away to Dubai. Was it Dubai? No, Thailand? I can't remember now. That's terrible. But yeah, Nicola, lovely, lovely girl. She's going to be on tomorrow, and we're going to be having a chat about all things wellness related. And James is not here tomorrow. James is awfully busy. Yeah, Bally, Kelly, absolutely. And then on Thursday, we have got another special guest. But I'm not sharing who it is yet. So, John, I will see you next week. And then the week after that, that's the week where we're going to be doing our build-up surgery week. So we won't see you that week, but we'll see you the week after.
Yeah, brilliant.
So we'll see you next Tuesday. If anybody has got any questions for John, anything that they want to ask, if you'd like to see, you know, you might want to see the Aura equipment working again. One's like, oh no, he's going to make me do that again. Last time we couldn't get the screen to share and all the rest of it. So, and if you want to go and follow John on his page is It's a Matter of Energy, and it's scrolling across the bottom of the screen there. So take care, everybody. Thank you very much. And John, I will see you next week. Hang about, because I'm not going to let you go just yet. I was like, please let me go. I'm bursting in the toilet. Take care, everybody. Have a fantastic day. Bye for now.
Bye.